Let's discuss this with the host of the Ben Shapiro podcast, Ben Shapiro, who joins us now. Ben, great to see you. Thanks for being with us today.
You bet. Thanks for having me.
What do you think, Ben? I mean, this is something now we've seen play out in half a dozen countries across the world, 3 or 4 of them now in Europe, all pushing, quote unquote, self-described far-right parties out of a potential candidacy for presidency.
You know, when President Trump said a long time ago that the deep state was actively intervening in American politics in order to thwart a particular agenda, it turns out that he was right about that, but he was also right globally. It turns out that there is, in fact, an elitist deep state everywhere, from the European Union to Brazil to Israel to Romania, that is interested in overturning even the possibility of the will of the people in order to stop the bad guys from possibly winning. And the bad guys range, again, from Bibi Netanyahu in Israel, who, again, has been targeted by the legal establishment, to Bolsonaro in Brazil. Remember that in Brazil, Lula da Silva was actually in jail, and he was freed by the judiciary so he could run again. And then they moved to jail, Jair Bolsonaro. You're seeing the same thing happen now with Marine Le Pen, who is set to win this current election. In France, the party that she leads was set to actually win the next election. And I think the giveaway is this. The jail sentence that you mentioned before, that is a suspended jail sentence. They're suspending that until the appeals can go through. You know it's not suspended? Her ban from running, which demonstrates exactly what they were after.
But what lies behind this, Ben? Is it simply an ideological simpatico, whether or not you're going from Brazil to Romania? Or is there a more organized global effort to control the choices democratically for the people in these countries? What is guiding and what is pushing
I don't know
forward
if there's any sort
the quote-unquote deep state?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if there's any shadowy coordination, but there certainly is an informal coalition of people who are perfectly willing to overthrow the levers of democracy in order to get where they want to go. And you see that in France, where, again, Le Pen's party is a very large party and would be a natural ally in many ways to Emmanuel Macron's current governing party. But he decided in the last stages of the last French election that he was actually going to throw his support, effectively speaking, to the full-scale left-wing insane socialists led by Mélenchon. And so the sort of center deciding that it would rather travel with the hard left than it would ever make any sort of coalitional effort with the right is the story, I think, that's been happening all over the globe. President Trump was able to overcome it here miraculously in a lot of ways. I think that they are holding back a tide that they simply cannot hold back. And if indeed Marine Le Pen ends up being barred from this next election, Jordan Bardella is probably the next president of France.
You know, I totally respect that people watching today are interested in American politics and are unfamiliar with many of these names. But the point is pushing back on the will of the people, which we saw illustrated here at home through the justice system, through the judicial system, in trying to limit Donald Trump's ability to run for president. Ben, maybe the most egregious example of this is actually in Romania, where Calin Georgescu won the first round of Romanian elections before a court overturned those election results, saying there were violations and massive Russian interference in the popular will. But you brought this up. You can only bottle this up for so long. And whether or not we saw it here at home, where it did work out through the democratic process, this is the type of stuff that does eventually lead to populist revolutions. If you're seeing candidates across the globe being told you can't run and people can't vote for you, you're not going to maintain a peaceful society.
That's exactly right. Not just populist revolutions. It actually leads, in the end, actually to more tyranny, because one of the institutions that's destroying itself here is the judiciary in every one of these countries. If the judiciary ends up being weaponized by one side of the political aisle, then the people don't just decide that they're going to, buck the judiciary and do whatever they want to do. They also turn against the judiciary itself. And then when somebody actually does attempt to defy the judiciary, they say, well, why should they listen to you in the first place? You're the same people who decided you were going to ban the sort of candidate that I was going to vote for. So all these institutions, in an attempt to stop the bad guys from winning, have basically undermined themselves, and they are undermining democracy in every possible way with this sort of stuff. It really is amazing.
All right, Ben Shapiro, of course, the very, very popular Ben Shapiro podcast. Thanks for being with us today, Ben. Good to see you.
Thanks so much.
Hey, Sean Hannity here. Hey, click here to subscribe to Fox News YouTube page and catch our hottest interviews and most compelling analysis. You will not get it anywhere else.